Gold Coast Locals podcast. So another beautiful day in the sun on the Gold Coast. I was going to say on the sunny coast, but it's not too sunny today. A bit of overcast, a bit of weather happening, but we can't complain about the circumstances that we've got in front of us today. So everything's a good day, and we'll just go with it. First of all, I just want to say thank you to the people who have come back and given me feedback about the podcast. It's been really surprising, and I'm really pleased that so many people have actually taken to it and listened to it and want to give us a bit of feedback and think that we should be talking about certain things and with certain people and that sort of stuff. So I really do appreciate that. I hope everyone is looking out for each other. I think as we've discussed in the past before, this is a good time for people to learn how to be nice to each other. We're all in the same situation, in the same boat, and I don't know, it's funny, there's a bit of a feeling around the place that that's sort of the way people are thinking, and people are sort of taking back and understanding that everyone seems to understand the fact that we're all in the same boat here. So it is what it is. Shout out to a couple of those boys, Bruce and those boys who have been struggling with their spinal injuries and that. I hope you're all going well. We're talking to each other via text and that sort of stuff, so I hope you're looking after yourselves and getting through this process of what's going on. So anyway, Gold Coast Locals, we've got a very, thought we'd step it up this week. We've got a very high profile, was that high profile?
What are you saying?
High profile chat with a very well known Gold Coast local, Mick Ellison. I've known Mick for a fair while now. 20 something years, something like that. And so we've got a good history and had a lot of fun together and that sort of stuff. And I know Mick is held in very high regard on the Gold Coast with his knowledge for entertainment through venues, managing venues and doing that sort of stuff. And of course, Mick has had Manos for 1996, Mick.
Famous since 96.
Famous since 96, of course it is. Been plenty of big nights out at Manos over the years, Mick.
Plenty more to come as well.
Good to hear. So Mick, you've been on the Gold Coast for quite a while. You're not a Gold Coaster, are you? You're not.
No. Originally from Victoria.
Yep.
Mornington Peninsula, down that way. Moved up here in 1979 as a 20-year-old, young 20-year-old. Play footy, Aussie rules with Broadbeach Football Club, and stayed. Thought I'd spend a year up here, but still here.
Still here. Made a good mark on the place where you've been here too.
Oh, I had a good journey, and the journey's still going. So so no, it was all pretty. As a 20-year-old, you just want to live every day as the fullest, and and at the time in '79, Aussie rules. It was VFL then, I suppose. Wasn't AFL. Was probably third in line in the football stakes in Queensland. It was pretty primitive, but it was a pretty decent league here, Southport René, and it wasn't a big league, but it was a pretty rough and tough league. So it was good grounding.
They didn't know how to spell Australian rules up here then in those days, Mick, did they really?
No, mate. It was quite funny because coming from Victoria, where you lived and breathed football, it was like a religion. And when I arrived up here with Broadbeach, we played our home games at Paradise Point. We trained at Broadbeach Primary School, and you'd be standing at the bar at the Broadbeach Hotel in your footy boots after training. So it was pretty. It was an eye opener real early.
They were the good days.
The good days. I should have sensed something was going wrong early, but and playing on Sunday, so staying home on a Saturday night as a 20-year-old was pretty hard too.
Well, it's damn near impossible today, apparently. Eh?
Well, yeah, it is.
Damn near impossible.
Yeah, well, we used to need a motorbike and some guns, you were right.
Yes, that's right. It's a bit crazy what's going on today, with the this coronavirus thing and, businesses. I mean, you've had, as I said, you've had Manos since 1996, so, none of us have ever seen anything like this, and none of us have any idea about how we're going to come out of this too. Yeah. I think it's a good opportunity. I know you and I have been talking a little bit about certain things, but it's a good opportunity to maybe introduce a little bit of change, introduce things that are a little bit different and that sort of stuff. And I think our local area being Main Beach is one of those things that could probably do with a little bit of a change and a little bit of a tweak and that sort of thing to get the people back. I know you were very prominent in what went on in Main Beach back in the days when we had the Indy cars and when we had those sort of things. You were very involved in the closing of the streets and that sort of stuff that we don't really do too much anymore. We don't see anymore.
Yeah. Look, it's a different world, Lenny. You're spot on with it, and I think it's going to be. I mean, it's harder. It's hard what we're experiencing and what we've gone into. I think it's going to be harder coming out of it because we're all going to have a different mindset, and we think, we're going to reopen eventually, and it's not going to be the same. Whether we think it is or we want it to be, it's not. And I think what we've got to look at, and no one's got a crystal ball. I mean, we're all, like I was saying earlier, we're all listening to the news and Sky News and all the news feeds, just trying to keep a handle on it and grasp of what the health minister's saying today, the Prime Minister's saying, and so forth. So, but I think we just got to start to sort of role play what it's going to be like, and whether it's that or not, we don't know. But I just think we, as a community, we've got to look ahead and see what's happening. And I think for us on the Gold Coast, the Gold Coast City Council is a huge player in this. Whether they think they are or they're not, or whether it's their responsibility, but they've got to sort of look at it now, and I think they are, and to get the ball rolling. So certainly when the restrictions do sort of ease up a bit more, we need to sort of create some sort of activities. I mean, it's the whole Gold Coast, but there are little pockets like us in Main Beach and Chevron and Broadbeach, Surfers, everywhere. We tag onto it, okay? The small areas like us can't be expected to be there leading the charge, We're there supporting, but, and that's always been my philosophy. Don't create the event, find an event and tag onto it. And they're sort of things which will get people out and about. And it's all going to be done, obviously, responsibly, and there'll be restrictions on how we do it. But that's sort of my mindset is I'm trying to look at, using this time to look at how we're going to come out of it and the steps we need to take to come out of it.
Yeah. I know when you say tagging onto an event, is that like you tagged onto the Indy cars and we used to have those big lunches?
Totally. And we had an international event here on the Gold Coast. The state government and council and all the powers to be, they brought this fantastic event to the coast, which none of us, well not none of us, a lot didn't realise how good the event was till it was gone.
Yep.
And all we hear now, all I've heard in the last four years since, probably longer, I wish we had the Indy cars here. But when the Indy cars are here, they're all going, let's get rid of it. What we don't want is Indy cars. Yeah. So it was, it's like, you don't realise it until it's gone. Yeah. But they're the types of things that we need. And over the years, where I've been in Main Beach and I've, obviously run a few little venues here and there, we've always looked at what's going on and what can we tag onto. Yeah. Things like the Blues Festival, which is a fantastic event. So why aren't we encouraging the smaller precincts around the Broadbeach, not necessarily Broadbeach, to be involved with it? Yep. The Surfers Alliance used to run events. Why aren't Main Beach and Chevron encouraged to be a part of it? It's not about just Cavill Avenue and Surf Parade. It's about the Gold Coast, and it's the same thing with the Southern Gold Coast. I mean, the Bleach has been a fantastic festival since it started. And it's brought surf. I mean, it's Surfers Paradise. So it's brought surfing into it. And it's encouraged. The sculptures and the sand modelling and all sorts of things, which 15, 20 years ago was never on the radar. Yeah. But why can't we do things like this down on the Spit or in Main Beach or Narrowneck? So we need to share the love. Yeah. Share the love in and the council is funding a lot of this. So why should it just be specific to certain areas where the whole Gold Coast is screaming out for something to jump on?
Yeah.
And they're all very, very well run events, but a lot of times the events are run and they could be in Currumbin or places. But this end of the coast, we don't hear about it.
It's one of the things I said on a podcast recently, is that it always amazes me how certain things pop up and happen, and when you live in the community, you go, when did this happen? You know, like, who knows where they're advertising or what they're advertising, but I totally agree. I think one of the benefits of having our new councillor, Darren Taylor, is one of the things that Darren was talking about was getting the community back in here again. And I think we all have to be a little bit like understanding here that it's going to be a while before. I mean, the Gold Coast, we're our biggest income provider is tourism. You know, on the Gold Coast, we're not going to have tourists who are going to come from overseas here. So we've got to somehow be able to enhance other Australians, whether it's like we were talking about before, whether it's Queenslanders or from all over Australia to come to the Gold Coast. And get it back in here, and we've also got to get our local community people back in here.
Mate, what's a huge market for us, and I've seen it over the years. Okay, going back to the late '90s when Ansett went down, and they were building the freeway for the Gold Coast. Brisbane is a huge market, and if the Brisbane people can get down here. And the road, when they did the new roads, you suddenly saw it was like turning on the tap. You know, we've got the Broadwater, the marinas. A lot of Brisbane people got boats down here. They've got apartments down here. Sensational. The drive market, you know, call it an hour, 2 hours drive market. You know, from northern New South Wales to Toowoomba, you know, around that way.
Yeah.
Mate, there's people there and they love the Gold Coast and they come here and they, cashed up is probably not the right term, but they come here, they want to spend, right? And they're happy to spend. And they enjoy it and they go back. Mate, simple. There's you know, their markets are there now and the population and the people are there and we've had it and the coast thrives off it. Yes, the interstate market's great, but I mean, with all this COVID-19 at the moment, and we touched on earlier, I'm not quite sure on opening up this is my view. Opening up the interstate borders is the right way to go straight away. I'm not saying it's the wrong way, but I mean, we've got these people locally who can drive and be here, and that way, that could be the first step to contain, you know, Queensland's going gangbusters at the moment with no new cases or very few. So we need to maintain that, you know, and I get that, you know, do I totally agree with a lot of things, but no, but I get that. So we've got to go with it. They're the cards on the table, so we've got to play with it. So let's utilise the local market that's here and get the people out. Get people out with their confidence and give them something to maybe go to. We don't have to turn into the rock star destination. We just got to open the doors, businesses got to open, trade, people have got to feel safe and got to want to come out. And I think that's probably one of the first steps.
I'm a big believer in you know, like putting on smaller things, as you said, getting people back into our communities, into Tedder Avenue. You know, we've got access through the light rail here. We've got a number of venues in the street that you know, you can have different experiences in and that sort of stuff. You know, I'm a big believer that we should be using like some local music talent and doing that sort of stuff and just presenting them. It's not expensive, but it gives the opportunity for people to come and have a look and, you know, just see what's going on. I think it's also by using local talent, they're going to bring a certain amount of people with them as well to come into the community. So, you know, like I know, like for example, the Flower Festival last year. I know you and I have talked quite a bit about the Flower Festival. One of the things that surprised us most was the amount of people that came.
And where they came from. I mean, the majority of people never seen before. And never looked like seen before. You know, I mean, it was just, and that was the most encouraging part about it, and it was a great festival.
No, it was a great festival, and you know, I mean, unfortunately, with the way the world is at the moment, I don't know whether those things will go forward this year, but there's still the opportunity to enhance and to look into those things. I know there was a bit of a brochure put out from one of our alliances, or whatever they call themselves, the three alliances, about doing different things in Tedder to try and enhance it, you know what I mean, and that sort of stuff. But I tend to agree with what you said a little bit more, is, you know, the monetary side of things has been spent in the Surfers Alliance and the monetary and the Broadbeach Blues Fest and that sort of thing. You know, what is it that you think needs to be done for us to be able to, us as a community at Main Beach I'm talking about, for us to tag into those sorts of things? You know, how do you think it's a opportunity to tag into something like, let's say, the Blues and Roots in
Broadbeach? Yeah, well, I mean, the Blues do it very, very well, and they have. And probably one of the, if there's a negative that I've heard about the Blues Festival, it's got too big.
Yep.
It's got too big for Broadbeach. And and people are saying, oh, it's not what it used to be and so forth, but it's still fantastic. Fantastic for the economy there, the whole bit. Why can't we have, you know, and I know during the Blues they have acoustic sets in bars and restaurants around Broadbeach. Fantastic. And we found when we used to go down there, I had a mate of mine and my wife and them as a couple, we love Kevin Borridge. So we'd always find out where Kevin Borridge was playing and bang, we'd go to see Kevin Borridge. Yeah. Why can't we, you know, you go to Nobby's and Chevron and us, for example, because we're not that far away, and say, right, yeah, let's find a couple of venues there and scatter a couple of these musos. And they don't have to be the big ticket items.
Maybe someone who's got a little bit of nose, you know.
Young kids. And they always seem to try to discover young kids and bring them on stage with the big guys. I mean, and do that. I mean, so we're not taking people. We're not saying to people, don't go to Broadbeach, come to Nobby's or Main Beach or wherever instead of going there. We're not doing that. But it's people who are not going to go there, right? They're in their mindset that they want to, but nah, it's too busy. Yeah. But they can experience the Blues Festival in a little bar in Main Beach or a little bar on Chevron and so forth, right? It's the same with the Surfers. With the when they first started off, it was the Elvis. And I was a huge fan of this, and I remember sitting down with a couple of the council guys from economic development, and they just looked at me with blank stares. I said, mate, you know what we should be doing? They go, what? And I said, we should have an Elvis festival. And they just looked at me, and I said, no, I'm not an Elvis fan, but we should have it, because I went to Melbourne and I drove through Parks, and Parks is the Elvis capital of Australia. And I'm in this motel with Len and the kids, and we're going, there's Elvis stuff everywhere, and we're going, man, how good would this be on the Gold Coast? And then there was that movie with all the Elvises parachuted in Vegas and robbed Vegas and all this, and I'm thinking, this is perfect for the Gold Coast. So I floated that to them, and then obviously we went down on the balloon, and then it started. And I thought of that, and it's evolved to, I think it's called Viva now.
That's right. Yeah.
They have everyone, they have impersonators and stuff. Hey, why can't we have a Neil Diamond impersonator playing up here or during that week, and the same with the surrounding precincts. Share it. They're doing the promotion for it, you know. And I spoke to Surfers Paradise Alliance at the time, and they just said no. I said, it's not Surfers Paradise. So, and this is where I sort of got my tail up and saying, well, hang on, it's ratepayers' money. You know, we're ratepayers. We're a business on the Gold Coast, you know what I mean? Throw us a bone. Throw us a bone here. But they won't. And I think hopefully the way that the council's taken, I'm not quite sure how it's working, but how they've taken hold of the alliances now, and it's a Gold Coast, I don't know what they're calling it, events specialist. That's what the talk is of. I've heard that as well. And Darryl Kelly, who we know, who's the owner of the Titans, and you know, got to know him and his wife a bit. And he's the chairman of it. And I said to Darryl, I said, don't forget us in Main Beach. You know, and he goes, oh no, you know, this and that, which is great. But this is what we need. We need a bigger picture thing. And so suddenly they're Gold Coast events. They're not, the main part isn't just Surfers Paradise.
A concentrated thing.
Exactly. You know, we've got to share the love, and we're spending the money. The promotion's been spent, but we say, yeah, the main focus is on the main stage. And I mean, you don't have to. You're not a genius to put a stage on Surfers Paradise and suddenly you're the greatest promoter in the land.
No.
Anyone can come up with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it works. It's great, but broaden it a bit. You know, instead of doing the same thing each year, you know, develop it, grow it. And, I mean, a bloke once said to me, and I've kept this saying throughout my business life of the last 20 years, it's evolution, not revolution.
Yes.
And we've got to evolve it. And
absolutely.
I think that's maybe one of the things we can take out of this COVID-19.
Yeah. I mean, we've got things like the light rail, so there's no reason why they couldn't make the light rail free to travel, and then it'll get you to a Broadbeach surface and Main Beach precinct, and you can just flow through the whole day. You know,
well, they're going to travel through it anyway.
Well, most people do apparently. I mean, I don't actually catch the light rail, but I've heard rumours that most people travel through it.
Yeah, but that's it's exactly the light rail is sensational. Has been sensational.
Yeah.
I mean, to move people.
Yeah.
The pain of the build of the light rail is a different story, but the actual light rail it just moves people beautifully.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what we've got to utilise, and up and down, and here in Tedder Avenue we've got a station right at the end.
Yeah.
Right at
350 metres away.
Totally.
Yeah.
Right on our doorstep.
Yeah.
Broadbeach has got one right on our doorstep. Once it goes down to Burleigh will have one. Nobbies will have one. That's my phone.
That's what I'll give you something down.
Yeah.
I'm with you too, Mick. I mean, I don't know that a lot of those traders and that sort of stuff on the route to the airport, they're in for a big shock down south, because it was a very, very harsh environment right through Southport surface. There's a lot of traders got really damaged. A lot of them didn't come out of it. You know,
you've only got to jump on the light rail and go through and see the areas that have just not come back.
Yeah.
I mean, and like I said, the light rail's great, but you know, again, my view, the actual where it went is probably not right.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
It's you need it nearby, but you don't need it through. I mean, I'm not quite sure whether it's done anything for Surfers Boulevard. It's killed it.
It's killed it.
It's killed it.
Yeah.
And going into it, you go to the northern end of the clock, down the A&A or whatever it's called now, Holiday Inn or whatever.
Yeah.
Empty. You come out of the other side where Voca and all those.
Walrus.
Empty. And even shops and, you know, shopkeepers will say how noisy, because it's too close.
Yeah.
You know, and if it run down past the Vibe, straight through there, whether it could have.
Down along. Yeah.
Mate, it's a 100-metre walk straight up to the. So, I mean, close, but close enough. But anyway, that's just.
I mean, and that's true. I mean, everyone has different philosophies about how the light rail should have been done. You know, me, I still don't know why we didn't dig a tunnel. But you know, that's just my point of view.
But Lenny, we got it.
That's right.
They're the cards on the table.
We've got to use it.
Let's use it.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's make it work, and I think we are. I think you know, it's great. So we've got to say it's great, and the people from Broadbeach to Burleigh are going to probably, you know, not quite sure at the moment, but by the end of it, they'll be loving it. But I mean, it's just getting to the end.
Getting it there. Yeah, exactly. So. I know, as you said, we talked about before, you know, like you've been involved in business in Main Beach for a long period of time. Back in those days, we used to shut the streets off and we used to do all that sort of stuff, and it's just become too costly, I believe, as to what they say that.
Yeah, well, that's the story that everybody wants to keep telling us. But you know, I thought about this, and I'll tell you that I arrived here in '96.
Yep.
And people sort of will always remember the, you know, street closures we've had, and probably '96 was my favourite, and it's not a long drawing story, so I want to share it with you. I mean, I was as green as they come. I'd opened Manos took it over in February.
Yep.
And at the time there was a gourmet pizza shop next to us, and there was a couple, Kobe and Alex used to run that. And Alex was an old muso, and you know, and he used to play the drums or guitar or whatever, and he played with Ted Mulry. And he's come up and he said, "Oh mate, Ted's a mate of mine, and he'd love to come up and he'll play New Year's Eve." And I thought, yeah. And he said, "Well, can we put him on? We'll put him on the." We had a fountain at the time, which was more of a flat fountain. And he said, "We'll put a stage on there." And we said, "Well, just you and I will feed the band food and booze and da da da." And I'm pretty sure that was it.
Yep.
So the builder at the time, Dave Leveson, he put a stage up. And so we've had all set up. So people sort of looking what's going on. And we didn't know. I mean, we were as green as each other. And then about 4 o'clock, this is New Year's Eve, these council youths turn up and they pull out the black and yellow road close barriers, you know, the ones with the A's and the things across. So I'm over there looking at them and they're dropping them off there, and they left them on the curb where Gower is now, and they're sitting on the thing there. And I went over to Alex and I said, "Well, do you know what these are?" And he goes, no. So we sort of looked and whatever. So about 5:30, 6 o'clock, I grabbed one of my guys and we went out and put them out.
On the street?
On the street. So we closed Tedder Avenue, right? We put them on down where the taxi rank used to be, and over at the other side where Shuck is, and down the end where Milan is, and down there. So we closed the street. So cars were going out, and we were going out with everything. So suddenly, this is our first street closure in Tedder Avenue. And mate, we had Ted Mulry gang. The footpaths were just full of tables and people, and so we had Ted Mulry gang, you know, jumping my car and this sort of thing. And I mean, people in the streets, dancing, drinking, not one issue, whatever. It was just unbelievable. It was just a fun night. It just happened. And that's how it all started. So the next year, people are going, "Well, you know, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?" I mean, Alex and I think we had John English.
You've set the bar this high.
Yeah, basically. But getting back to your original, you know, question, comment, it cost us nothing. Yeah. Right? So then suddenly you've got the regulatory bodies, the licensings, the councils, "Oh, you shouldn't have done this." And I was like, "Oh, mate, we didn't do anything. We just put the barriers out that you dropped off. So then suddenly you've got to do permits, and this is where it's gone. Yeah. It's this licensing going. It's licensing, council, and police. So you've got to try a circle, and one won't start the process unless someone else has started the process.
So if someone rings licensing, then licensing will come in, they'll ring the police, and then the police will contact council, the road closure. And
or licensing will say, "Well, if council do it, we'll do it." And council go for licensing, or police do it, we'll do it. Police go for this just goes round and round and round. So you got to, and that's really where it started. So, and then and it was just a sign of the time. Remember the late '90s to now. I mean, so suddenly, and for the first 3-4 street plays, we had no insurance. So if someone did hurt themselves, we were. And then when insurance popped its head up, my insurance, I used my insurance from Mana. I had a friendly insurance broker, so he sort of said, "Oh mate, we'll just tag you on to one off," and I'm going, I think like 4,000 or 5,000 people on the street, but we'll be right. But we got through it, and that was our ingenuity of wanting to make it happen, and I think that's what we've got to get that spirit back amongst all of us in saying, right, let's make it happen, and you know, half a step backwards to the flower show, where you know the flower show were told it's too expensive, and the question I asked to the flower show people, how much does it cost?
Yeah, what's too expensive?
What's too expensive? And they couldn't give us a dollar answer. So it's really, whether it's council or whoever it was, probably wasn't council, it was whoever, it snowballed them and sort of said it's too expensive, and they took that. But you've got to ask the question, and that's what we need to do. And if we want something, we say, right, how do we make it work and work backwards from it?
Yeah, I think I agree. I think the reality of the situation and position we're in, we've got to be proactive as a community now, not reactive as we have been. I feel a lot of our governments and that sort of stuff are all reactive, they're not proactive. And I think that, you know, for us to be able to evolve our community and get things to where we're talking about going, and, you know, getting Tedder Avenue and Chevron and, you know, even Isle of Capri and those sorts of places, get that little buzz about them and opportunities they have and everything like that. I think council are going to have to drop some of the red tape.
Well, yeah, they don't necessarily need to drop the red tape. They need to handle the red tape. So, going back to the indie days, right? They used to have an events advisory committee. Right? John Witherall used to chair it, and you'd have police on it, you'd have council, liquor licensing, the Bulletin, Bob Gordon was on it. You had all these people, and I was the Main Beach representative, because we had a Main Beach Traders group, and I was the president of it. We